Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out the replay of in our Intro to Essential Oils 101. This is one of my favorite classes to teach because I feel like it's something that doesn't really exist out there very often. A lot of us love going shopping, and a lot of us have tried and sampled essential oils, especially nowadays, because you can get them everywhere. Like literally, they're at gas stations. And I feel like the hard part about it is, like, you know, everyone writes pure therapeutic grade on these bottles. And yet I had, like, I can't tell you how many people in the last 2 days while I was at this women's conference, people were like, oh, I can't be around essential oils because every time someone diffuses them, it triggers my asthma or it triggers my allergies. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And then I'd said, well, where were the oils from? And they're like, oh yeah, they got them from Walmart. And they said pure and therapeutic grade. And I'm like, yeah. So let me talk to you guys about essential oils and essential oil safety, because I feel like that's something that's just it's hard because there's so many things. You Google stuff and it gets scary. You Google anything and it's like, oh, I've got cancer. And so Google can be a little scary and daunting. And then you start pushing the wrong button, and then you're going to have people arguing over things as well. You post it on Facebook, and then the next thing you know, you have a vaccine argument and you didn't even talk about vaccines. So it's just really challenging out there to get some really good information and some truth regarding things. And so I absolutely love teaching this little mini class. So feel free to save your questions for the end. We're just going to kind of run through this information, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I just want to let you know up front, though, I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I cannot diagnose, cure, or treat you. And everything that we talk about tonight is going to be about being a healthy person and continuing to flourish as a healthy person. And everything else, you can draw your own conclusions from there on how to use the essential oils, because you are a very smart person. My name is Kim. I absolutely love essential oils now, but if you would have asked me like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, if this is what I would be doing, I probably would have thought you were crazy, because that just never really like showed up. Like nowadays kids could be like my daughter, she's like, yeah, I want to teach about essential oils one day. And I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. But like, that was never what I aspired to as a young person. And so it's been really exciting to see where this journey has brought me. For me, getting started with essential oils, it was because I was sick. I had something going on with my nursing my son, and it was the same thing I had with my daughter. And I was in so much pain. I had a lot of pressure. I felt like I had the high hot temperature. I was extremely exhausted, and it was like the fourth time I'd had this. And so I was so exhausted with it, and I just, posted on Facebook like, oh, here we go again, ugh. And one of my girlfriends reached out to me and said, hey, if I sent you something like an essential oil, would you try it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, at this point, I'll try anything. I've had this thing for 4 times now. And so she sent me some oils, and they didn't get there obviously in time for that round. But when I got it again, because it was like 3, 6, and 9 months for both kids, it was 6 months then, and I got it again. And I just thought, well, let me just try these oils, because you can tell after you've had something, 4, 5 times now, you're like, oh, I know what this is. And so I went ahead and rolled it on my chest. I messaged her and said, hey, what do I do? She said, just roll it on your chest. I gave it a try. And I actually ended up not having to see a doctor about it, which was kind of a big deal for me. And so I was like, okay, so there is some kind of, help and benefit to these essential oils. And my doctor was like, yeah, you actually look okay. I don't think you need to do the antibiotics this time. And I was like, awesome. So I still saw a doctor because very new to all this stuff. And so anyway, you flash forward, and I moved to Virginia Beach area, and one of the girls in my mommy group was hosting this class, and I went to this class and I listened to everything they talked about in the starter kit back then. And I was like, wow, this is really neat. Like, I could have so much more control over my family's health by buying this starter kit. And I was like, I've really got to look into this. And I ended up selling my snowboard to get a starter kit. And it was the best decision I ever made. It was completely worth it. I very shortly after doing that, I jumped into the Essential Rewards program because I realized how much money back I was getting and how many free products. And it was a no-brainer for me. And then the biggest thing that changed our family's life, where we realized that this company is a whole lot more than just essential oils, was when I had purchased a bottle of Ningxia Red, and my husband was drinking it every single day for a week, and it was life-changing for him. And when it starts changing your spouse, if you're married, when it starts changing someone you love very much, not just yourself, that's when you start realizing that this is something that is worth really taking seriously. For me, I think that it's important to know what essential oils are, and who Young Living is. When I got started, I had to choose between two companies because two of my friends had worked with two different companies, and they were both asking me if I'd like to get started using oils with them. And so I actually ended up choosing Young Living, but first I needed to know what essential oils were because I didn't really understand, like, an oil in a bottle. Like, I knew what olive oil was. But the thing about essential oils is that they're very different than like an olive oil or a cooking oil or a canola oil, in that they're greaseless. Okay, so you're not going to have that heavy grease to them, but they are actually made from trees, shrubs, grasses, resins. So like if you've ever seen people who like tap and cut into a tree and they get that sap that comes out, that's actually resin. And then they actually steam distill that resin and turn that into an oil as well. So there's so many ways that we can extract essential oils from plants. Citrus oils, for example, are actually cold pressed from the rind of citrus fruit. So there's actually zero acidity in citrus oils, which I think is really cool. Because they are pulled from the outside, from the zest. And so anyway, essential oils are just the lifeblood of the plant. And so whenever we think about like grass and how if you cut grass down, there's an oil in that grass that will help make that grass heal and come back even stronger. Okay. And so when you're doing that with grass, you think the lifeblood of grass itself is designed to heal and make it come back fortified and stronger. And so every single plant that we have on earth has a lifeblood to it, and that lifeblood is the essential oil. And so when we extract essential oils from the plant, and it's really neat because there's even some oils that come from like Palo Santo, for example, it's actually only comes from the fallen branches of the tree. So it's not even about a harvest and pulling in a harvest. It's about waiting for a branch to be released by the tree because that branch is matured. So it's pretty fascinating when you start really diving deep into each individual plant and how they're made. But the key to know with essential oils is that it is the lifeblood of the plant, and that the lifeblood of the plant and what that plant was designed to do is very unique and different than all the other ones, which is why Young Living has over like 200 essential oils, because there's so many different plants out there that are produced. There are some, one of the things that I do love about Young Living is that they care about conservation and making sure that the longevity of the plant will exist. We have a tree or a oil called rosewood, and the rosewood is no longer allowed to be produced. About 4 years ago, it became endangered, or 3 years ago, it became endangered. And as soon as it became endangered, Young Living pulled it off the shelves, even though rosewood is in one of their key blends that made the company over $1.5 billion, or no, $1.5 million in 1 year. Okay. Young Living pulled it off the shelf and they said, no, we're not selling it. It's out of stock. We're not going to produce any more of it until we can find out if rosewood is sustainable. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I didn't know any better. And I'm looking around and I'm like, where's rosewood? Why aren't they doing it? They said, oh, because rosewood. I'm like, but rosewood's still being sold. Like all these other companies are selling it and producing it. And they're like, well, it's an endangered plant. They shouldn't be, because we're trying to help conserve it so it will come back, and all these other companies. And I just remember that in the back of my head. And then all of a sudden, like a year or 2 year and a half later, I find out Young Living reformulated this oil called Valor. And when they reformulated it because rosewood officially became like an endangered plant, and no one is supposed to be producing it anymore. There's still a couple companies even after that were still selling it. I'm just hoping to God that was just their back stock of it, and maybe they jacked their price up because it was so valuable. But the point is that Young Living's a company that actually cares about sustainability, that cares about the longevity of everything, and making sure that not just the longevity of the plant, but that us as the consumer are also still receiving our oil. And that's why they reformulated Valor. And we even have a brand new Valor oil that doesn't include rosewood in it, but it still does what Valor has been known to do for people's wellness. So anyhow, I'm kind of like merging the two together, but it's really important to know what essential oils are and how quick they can help the body. One drop of an essential oil on the body will be in your bloodstream in 26 seconds. They've been around, essential oils have actually been around for thousands of years. Their history, if you look, that dates back to biblical times. The Egyptians actually used essential oils for all of their embalming and all the other things that they did, perfumes and stuff. Believe it or not, the oldest known recipe for deodorant is actually an Egyptian recipe. So essential oils have just had this long history of existence. The science of it is that we have over 2,000 pores on the bottom of our feet. And so if you apply an essential oil to the bottom of your feet, it's actually so porous that it will actually go into your body and actually support different parts of your body. I'm not sure how many of you have actually studied massage or been to Thailand, but there's a thing called foot reflexology. And it talks about, when I was in Thailand, that's where I was born. When I went back, I saw a massage therapist and I had a headache, and he would rub my big toe and it made my headache go away. It was really wild. And so it's really neat that, flash forward, here I am years later, and I'm using the same principles in foot reflexology, where the toe is associated to the brain. And so any oils that I want to help my brain function, I can actually apply it to my big toe, because I've got actually the most pores in my body are on the bottom of my foot. And so I can take that oil, put it on my big toe, and then I'm actually supporting my brain and my thoughts and my cognitive function that way. I can do the same thing for my sinuses. It's really wonderful whenever we're trying to support our digestive system, but we don't really care for the smell of an oil. You can stick it on the bottom of your foot, put on a pair of socks, and you don't smell the oil, but yet you can still reap the benefits of supporting your body's systems while putting the oils on your feet. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that essential oils will actually, when they're pure and real, they can actually scrub the cells of your body. I always think of lemon essential oil whenever I'm talking about that. So lemon essential oil, again, is cold pressed from the rind of the fruit, and it like scrubs the cells of the body. So does everybody remember? I drew a little picture on here. I hope you can see that little guy. See the little guy right there? Do you guys remember that from science class, where it was like a little cell and it had little hairs coming out? And so it's really neat when we learn about this, that the toxins that we interact with throughout our day, whether it's free radicals that we're experiencing in our environment around us, or whether it's actually like chemical toxins that we're breathing in, be it fragrance or plugins and stuff like that, those things can actually damage the cells of our bodies. And even topical things, creams and lotions. Everybody's heard about how dangerous and hurtful to our bodies sodium lauryl sulfate can be, bismuth, talc, parabens. There's so many things that we have put on our body. I'm guilty, that we've put on our body over the years without knowing how they can actually damage the cells of our bodies. And so you've got these cute little cells with these little receptors, and they've experienced, all those different toxins. And what it does is it actually damages those receptors. And often we have just cells with maybe like one little guy hanging out here. The cool thing about essential oils is that they work on the cellular level. Within 26 seconds, they're in the bloodstream. Okay. So the oil can go in there and just kind of like scrub brush and bring those cell receptors back to life. And so the next thing you know, our body is doing amazing at communicating and actually being able to filter other toxins out as well. And so those cell receptors are working the way they were designed to. When your body can communicate, it's just like, a great marriage. It's going to be a happy, harmonious place filled with joy. And so it's also important for the body to be able to say, like, hey, there's stuff going on over here. You need to send some white blood cells over here. And so that's why we have a lot of people who are struggling with their health, because their cell receptors just need some love. So there are many different ways that you can use essential oils. I've kind of alluded to some of them as I've been talking, but to actually give you what they are specifically, number one is you can use oils topically. So when I was telling you about putting oils on the bottom of your feet, and then you can do that. So that's a topical application of an essential oil. Now there's two ways that you can put them on topically. One is neat. We call it neat. Okay, like, oh, that's so neat. And so you can put it on neat, and that just means that you're taking the oil directly from the bottle. Pick a different one. I don't want lemon right on my arm. So I'm just taking Peace and Calming here, and I'm just putting it on my arm. So you can see the blue color in there. That is actually blue tansy, which is in the chamomile family. It's so funny because it's a yellow flower, and yet it comes out as a blue oil. Smells really good. And so anyhow, that is one way that you can apply oils topically. And it's really neat because it's kind of hard because the quality of the picture is not super great, but there's no shimmer and no shine on my skin because it's not a greaseless oil. Okay. And so when you put an oil on neat, sometimes that's fine. Now, like I said, I didn't want to put lemon on neat. For me, I don't really care for having lemon directly on my skin. It's a little intense for me. Same thing with like peppermint. I pretty much only use peppermint whenever I'm having like, you know, a hot moment. And I don't have many of those anymore now that I'm not pregnant. But I loved when I was pregnant, I carried peppermint around all the time because it was like my own little personal air conditioner because that oil is very warming. Where now, if I use peppermint, I tend to dilute it. Now, the way you dilute an essential oil, so you can apply it neat. Second way is apply the oil diluted, okay? And that's where you see people making really cute little roll-ons and stuff. So like, here's my little Boss Babe roll-on. It's even got some crystals inside there, some amethyst, okay? But this has a carrier oil in there. A carrier oil is a fatty oil like coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil if you're making a roll-on, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, sweet almond oil. Those are all really great carrier oils whenever you're working with essential oils. But here's the science behind why carrier oils will actually dilute it. They're not going to cut your essential oil and no longer make it powerful. And here's the cool science. Your essential oil molecule is going to be like this little pin, right? But your carrier oil molecule is big and fat, okay? And so if you put a whole bunch of these big fat molecules together with these little tiny molecules, whenever you're applying it to the skin, what's going to happen is that those little tiny essential oil molecules have to wait till those big fat molecules get absorbed before they get their turn to touch the skin. And so it's not that it decreases the effectiveness of the essential oil, it's just that it slows the timing of the absorption into the skin. Which is why if you put coconut oil on your arm, if I were to lather this arm in coconut oil and lather this arm in Peace and Calming, this is going to shimmer. This is going to pretty much be neutral within less than 5 minutes because of how quick the body absorbs the molecule size. So it's all about essential oils are tiny, carrier oils are big and fat, and it just takes time for it to be absorbed into the body. So diluting is a great way of extending your essential oils to extend the amount of time that they last, and it slows down the process of absorption because they're not going to be quite so many going in all at once. But sometimes you just need them all at once, like when I was trying to put my kids to bed, having Peace and Calming on my arm, undiluted, was everything. And it's what kept them alive. And so anyhow, and then they got to smell it too, and it helped them kind of settle down for the night. All right, so number one way of using an essential oil, topical. Number two way, aromatic, okay? So I've actually been enjoying that. Sad face, you guys are all in technology. You don't get to smell them right now, I'm sorry. But we'll get you your starter kit and then you can smell them all. Oh, yes, Bethany has hers right there. So she could be smelling. And then everybody else watching right now, sorry guys. But hopefully you already have your starter kit or you're ordering one and it's on its way, and you will be enjoying these beautiful aromas as well. But here's a fun fact for you about essential oils is that within 4 seconds, the smell of an essential oil is in the limbic system of your brain. How cool is that? Limbic system is where your memories and your emotions and all those things are stored. You ever heard of people going into their bird brain? That's in the limbic system, and that's where fight or flight hangs out too. So anything in our household that goes straight to the limbic system. is a wonderful thing, especially for this mama, because that's just really very helpful. So it's all about mood. It's all about, that's why a lot of times smells can evoke an emotion, and smells have like this really deep connection. There's a lot of smells that we experience in life that actually are very toxic for us. Formaldehyde is actually one of the number one, it's a class 1 carcinogen. It's one of the number one things that are actually in fragrance. They use formaldehyde to adhere fragrance to pretty much every product. So if it says on the list of ingredients, fragrance, chances are it's formaldehyde that they actually use. That's the chemical that they use to adhere the fragrance. And it's crazy too, because I've been watching a lot of these companies, and they're adding, they're like infused with essential oils, or this product has essential oils in it. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I'd flip it over and I'd read it, and it would say fragrance on there too. And I'm like, I thought it was infused with essential oils, and it has the essential oils listed, but see, they can hide formaldehyde. The rules on labeling allows them to hide formaldehyde in the word fragrance. And so they can actually write the word fragrance, and that's actually translated as formaldehyde. And so I thought that was really fascinating when I was doing a lot of research on this stuff. So lots of really great information. Another way that you can actually allow essential oils to be breathed in aromatically is through jewelry. So like this actually has a lava stone in it. And so there's this little tiny black lava stone right there in my earring. I can apply oils to that. I usually have a bunch of jewelry on. I make diffuser jewelry as well. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to wear your oils and have the fragrance travel with you. And you can also put it directly on your skin. Smell your arm, because it smells like peace and calming. Another way is with a diffuser, okay? So with Young Living, whenever you buy your starter kit, you will get a diffuser. So this one I always feel like looks like a Fabergé egg. It's so pretty. So you just take the outside of this off, and then this is what the inside of it looks like, which is really cool. This little guy down here is called your oscillator, and it's really unique because I hear a lot of people say things to me like, well, Kim, why can't I just use my humidifier and just stick the oils in there? Well, there's 2 reasons why you shouldn't put essential oils in a humidifier. Number one, your humidifier's tank may not be able to support some of these essential oils, because you're talking about pure therapy. Like, these are the real deal, okay? I can show you cups that I have downstairs that are plastic, and they are foggy because the essential oil has completely started to break down the actual plastic itself, okay? So this is actually surgical grade plastic. This is a special design plastic that is on here. So it's designed for essential oils, including citrus oils, okay? So that's why you don't want to stick that inside of your water tank of your humidifier. Second reason you don't want to stick it into a humidifier is because a humidifier, when it releases, and if you're putting it in the water tank, the oscillator for a humidifier, it shakes the molecules. The science behind these guys, it's all about vibration. And so when it's actually shaking the water molecules, a humidifier is going to create larger water molecules because it's trying to humidify the air. A diffuser is going to make much smaller water molecules. And actually, it's like in order of molecule size, it's humidifier, diffuser, and then nebulizer. And so like nebulizing treatments that they have for children in hospitals and stuff like that, although diffusers are actually very close in molecule size, they're not the same. And so you do have to be careful, because you can actually breathe in water molecules if you try to just sit in front of a diffuser and literally suck in that air. That's not safe. And so it's really fascinating when you get into the science of things. So it's all about the vibration of the molecules. There's a little motor in the bottom of this thing that blows air, and the air actually comes out right here on the side, and then it gets redirected into this little guy right here. And then that air actually will push all of the vaporized water molecules from here because of the vibration, and it pushes it out of the top. And so that's actually the science on how a diffuser works. When we breathe in an essential oil, it's going to help, it's going to do all kinds of amazing things for our body, not just for our limbic system, but also for our whole body's health in general. Like, for example, I diffuse Raven all the time for my son to support his respiratory system. It's one of my favorite oils for this kid. And he's had a lot of a lot of need for that. So anyhow, that is the second way that we can use essential oils. The third way that we can use essential oils is internally. Oh my God, I said it. But no, it's really true. I will say this very, very clearly. I do not advocate for anybody to use essential oils internally that they are not Young Living. Okay. So, and we actually have a special Vitality line of essential oils that have these really pretty white labels on here. Okay. So this all white label with just that little splash of yellow, we do sell lemon in a completely yellow label bottle. Okay. It's a 15 milliliter bottle, so it's a little bigger than this one. And it's not labeled as a Vitality oil. It's the same contents, but the label's different. The reason why we have these is they are to honor the FDA, because we are actually a company who works very close with the FDA to make sure that we're adhering to guidelines, and we're trying really hard to help make sure that good standards are in place so that our consumers are protected. Our Young Living Vitality oils are actually GMO verified. They're non-GMO verified. So we have non-GMO internal use Vitality oils. And so I love using peppermint in my water before a workout. I did that once when I was on the 21-day fix and I was being a nut and I was working out at midnight because that's when I had that 30 minutes of time. And I'm telling you, 1 drop of peppermint and a glass of water was like just completely life-changing and really helpful. I have a lot of friends who use lemon in their water, and 1 drop of lemon is like has the equivalent of 3 actual lemons. So that's really huge for people who are doing a lot of juicing. You can just do 1 drop of lemon essential oil and you're good to go. Citrus Fresh is also really wonderful in a drink as well. And it's actually really yummy in tea. I'm like Thieves in the wintertime in a cup of tea. Thieves Vitality, that's magical. So you can use them internally. Now there are some oils, like for example, this weekend we had one lady who desperately needed some digestive support. And what we did was we put some of our Digize essential oil, which I think smells horrible because it has anise in it, and I do not like licorice. So for those of you who like licorice, this is your BFF. For those of you who are not a big fan of licorice, so be thankful you cannot smell right now. But this oil is my best friend. I've taken it on missions trips with me. I have been pregnant and loved this oil, okay? This is a wonderful oil because it does its job in supporting my digestive system. And so how do we bypass the nose? There are really cool little veggie capsules, and you can take them and they look just like capsules and they're empty. You put your oil inside there. We were putting 4 drops of Digize in there, filled the rest with the olive oil that was in the cabinet that the ladies were using for cooking, topped off that little capsule, put the little top on there, and our friend swallowed it. And it was a huge blessing for her digestive system. So Digize is absolutely wonderful for that purpose, but those capsules are a great way that you can use an oil internally without having to taste it and smell it as well. And the only thing that I will say to you guys as far as places you should never use an essential oil, there are 2 places to never ever use an essential oil. Number 1, eyes. Don't ever get essential oils in your eyes. If you accidentally do and you're like the bad wife who made a roll-on for her husband and he works in Virginia Beach in the summer outdoors and he put some peppermint on his forehead because that was his struggle, and it dripped into his eye. He ran to the bathroom and washed it out. Don't do water. Never, ever do water. He's like, it was so awful, Kim. He's like, I kept putting water in my eye and it was like the oil just was like clinging to my eyeball. I'm like, that's true. Did you know that oil and water don't mix? And he's like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, then what should I have done? I'm like, carrier oil. I mean, a stick of butter, just like anything. Find anything that's got those fatty oil molecules to get in there and dilute that essential oil. And once that relief happens, then you go ahead and get your soap and water and kind of wash everything out. I don't know how I did this, but I had that happen with cinnamon bark and thieves. Like, I don't know what was going on with me all winter, but I was constantly getting the oil on my finger. And then, you know, you just kind of go like this because you're fixing your mascara. And the next thing you know, you're like, ow, 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 ow. And just forget the mascara at that point. I was shoving coconut oil in my eyeball. But, you know, and I actually have a picture on how to use essential oil safely. It was like the tagline for like 2 months for this class. And it was my busted eye and the words, how to use oils safely. So the struggle is real. We don't ever want to put essential oils into our eyes. But if you do, it's not that it's going to completely damage your eyes. It's mainly just that it hurts like what. And so you want to make sure you're flushing that out with a carrier oil if you have an accident and it's happened, and it's okay. There's no judging, especially not from me. The second place you never ever want to put an essential oil. You ready for it? It's probably not what some of you are thinking. In your ears. Okay, so inside of your ears. You could put them around your ear, you could put it behind your ear, you could put it on your tragus, but don't ever put essential oils, like turn your head and drop it in your ear. That's not okay. All right, so don't put essential oils there. If I did not mention a place, it is fair game, and I teach classes that talk about that. We'll leave it there. All right, so those are how we use essential oils. That is the science behind essential oils. This is some really great safety information on essential oils. And then I guess the biggest question is, why on earth would I pick Young Living out of all these other options? I mean, I like my Walmart. The reason why we really want to emphasize the importance of why you're choosing an essential oil company. For me, I chose Young Living wow, for so many reasons now. But in the very beginning, I chose Young Living because I love their seed to seal. You know, it's their everything. Like, it's just their, how they do business. It's their promise. It's not a slogan. Like, it's actually a promise. Like, they promise you from the seed in the ground to the seal in the bottle that they're transparent and that you can actually be a part of the process. You can go to the farms if you want to. I've been to 2 Young Living farms. I've actually made my own bottles of essential oil. I've harvested, you know, grand fir trees and put them into the distillery. I watch the steam hit it. I watch the oil come down the machine. I watch everything come up. I watched the oil and the floral water separate. I watched all of that stuff happen. I watched us pour the oil off the top. I actually got to be the one that pulled the lever that separated the oil off the top. And then it was in the back. And then we ran it through a coffee filter to pull the cellulose out of that oil. And so it's so amazing to me that the company is that transparent that they let you be a part of distillation. It's not like, hey, this is how we do things. No, but we're not going to answer the phone. No, you just can't come over. This is actually how we do things. You should come and be a part of Harvest. And so it was a real privilege to get to do that. But that was actually my number one reason why I chose Young Living, was because their seed to seal promise, from the seed in the ground to the seal on the bottle. It's a transparent company that lets you be a part of it. Everything is hand weeded in Young Living. I thought that was a fun fact. There's no chemicals, no pesticides. And even when we acquire land, we actually will test the earth for a very long time until the earth has the dirt and the soil has met the appropriate standards. And then we start using it for harvest and planting. And so it's just a really powerful thing that speaks volumes to me as far as the company goes, as far as their promise to be an integritous company that does things, and also just their sustainability and their passion for being, our goal is to be a zero waste company. Our global headquarters is just, you know, all about efficiency. And so there's just so many beautiful things about that. I think the most important thing to also know about, and this is where that whole being able to research things is significant. Our FDA, as far as the rules for essential oils, in order for a bottle to be labeled 100% pure therapeutic grade essential oil, in order for that to be written on the bottle, okay, here's what the FDA said their guideline is. Only 5% of the contents of this bottle will do lemon. We'll do lavender, okay? Everyone sells lavender. So this bottle of lavender, okay, really great for sleep. Love, love, love lavender. I love it on my dryer balls, okay? This beautiful bottle of lavender, in order for us to call it pure and therapeutic grade, guess how much of this bottle has to actually be lavender? 5%. The other 95% can be whatever the company wants to stick in there. And that was what blew my mind, because it made me realize that this is not about a label anymore. People can, poop in a bottle and call it a pure essential oil as long as 5% of that bottle actually is lavender. I mean, you're going to smell the poop, but most people can't smell the poop that's in these bottles because they don't know what quality smells like. And so for me, I realized that finding an essential oil company was not about reading labels. It was about knowing the company. And it's kind of like knowing your farmer, right? Like if your neighbor, Bob, down the street, he's got a farm in his backyard and you're watching him put organic stuff in his earth. You're watching him do everything. Yeah, I'm going to buy my cucumbers from him. I'm not going to go, somewhere else, not even another farm. I'm not going to do that because I'm literally watching Bob do it. He's actually asked me to come over and help him spread some stuff. I'm watching him hand weed it. So that was huge for me when I realized that, wow, this is more so about you having to do the research and knowing where you want to get your products from. And so it's just a really powerful realization. So for me, I chose Young Living primarily because they are that transparent and they are that upfront and honest of a company. And so that is how I actually got started with Young Living. And this is pretty much the basics for me. And this was all I needed. Young Living has so many things that I love about them. I think the thing that I find people that I talk to the most love is that, this is my favorite way of saying this, you can use your essential oils and hide in a closet and just sniff your bottles and never tell anybody. And Young Living will gladly keep sending you products and gladly keep giving you free products. And they're all about honoring you. They're all about thanking you and rewarding you through their Essential Rewards program. So if your choice to change your home and your health and your wellness and, get some cleaning solutions, like this is household cleaner. I mean, my kid can lick a window and it's supporting her immune system because we clean with Thieves household cleaner, and Thieves has been known to help support the immune system. And so it's just awesome that like this little packet right here makes an entire bottle of all-purpose cleaner that my kids use to clean glass. And I was one of those neurotic people. I used to actually clean houses professionally for OCD people, and I don't do well with streaks. Like streaks stress me out. And this household cleaner makes it completely clear. And so anyhow, it's just a huge deal for me that like I can buy all this stuff, change my whole home. My husband can have his Ningxia, I can have all the peace and calming in the world that I need to calm everybody down. We're getting great sleep with the lavender. We've got the peppermint for energy and cooling down. We've got stress away because, life. My son has his Raven to be able to breathe. I've got Digest to make sure everybody's stomach is okay. I have Panaway. I was using this nonstop on this trip because I was sleeping in a strange bed and my neck was just throbbing. And so I was like literally sitting there during the sessions with the bottle of Panaway and just like putting drops on my neck. Neat. And so there's just so many amazing things about all the oils that came in just the starter kit alone. And so I'm always replenishing all of these oils. But when you do that, they're gone. But then you're spending money, but Young Living's like, well, if you're going to keep spending money, we're going to keep blessing you. And I get 25% back in points every single month, no matter how much I spend. I get free product every month based on how much I spend. Last month, I got over $258 worth of free product plus 25 times 375 points back. So like, that's just a big deal. Like that's how much free stuff. So I got over $350 worth of free product or money back, right? That's huge. And all I'm doing is swapping out, my cleaning products, swapping out all my supplements and vitamins. I'm swapping out any sleeping pills that I would have been taking. I'm swapping out any therapy probably would have needed. And so there's just the things that you're ditching and switching in your home life. And so that's one thing I definitely loved about Young Living is that if I didn't even want to do it as a business, I could hide in my closet, I can sniff my bottle of essential oil, never tell another person, and Young Living's going to keep sending me products and they're just going to keep giving me free stuff because that's really what their culture is about. It's about taking care of everybody, making sure that everyone has what they need, and most importantly, making sure that the quality and the integrity is there. So That is it for our class. If you guys have any questions on essential oils and you're just like, oh my gosh, I love this, I want to get started, please message me, reach out, let's have a chat, and we will get you all set up with your starter kit and get you healthy and get everything you need to just completely change the wellness of your home. But I feel like now you have the basics on how to use oils safely, what they are, and what they can do for your body and for your family. So thanks so much for checking out this class.